Hi, Chris here. Thanks for stopping by my channel, All Time Jack.
Today I'm going to build this really cool grinder stand so we can review this new VEVOR 2x72 belt grinder. As part of this review, we'll be using this grinder throughout this build several times in a small side project as well. And then we'll really test it out on this 1/4 inch rough cut knife blade. And it is labeled 2x72 and came with 2x72 belts. So this is the crate it comes in when you pick it up. You can see it's missing a foot, and the other side also has a big hole in it. Looked like a forklift tying hole, but luckily I didn't find any damage. Pretty happy with that, considering the crate looked like it was dropped out of a plane. It's packed up in there pretty good, so just take your time. Get it all in here. That's everything that came in the box. We'll unpack it real quick. We got a contact wheel for circular grinding, a flat platen for flat grinding, a small table, and an arc grinding attachment with different size inserts. The last two things here are this inverter or transformer to run 220, and then the frequency drive, which is really cool so we can have variable speed. So I'm just going to throw the contact wheel on there and a belt that came with it. These are directional. The ones I ordered are not, and they're a much higher quality belt. We'll get to those in a little bit. So I'm just going to fire it up for the first time, grind a little drop, and make sure everything's working before we build the stand and put everything together. So initially, everything seems to be built real well, or at least better than I expected. So far, so good. Here goes first power up. This is just some 1/4 inch plate. It ground it down pretty good and easy. Looking good. Let's build us a stand real quick. So I called my little brother up, told him I need to make a heavy duty grinder stand with a cast iron base, and this is what he came up with, and it was perfect. It's a brake drum off a Peterbilt or a Kenworth or something, some 4.5 inch pipe, and some plate steel. I'll use that plate on the top and the bottom because I'm not going to weld to the cast iron. I'll just bolt it to the stud holes. And it was around this point right here where I realized I could make a pretty nice stand. So I went ahead and wire brushed it all down. And now I'm just taking a little extra time to get some good radiuses for a cut so it'll line up and look really nice. This is going to be the bottom plate that will bolt to the drum. I'm going to have to cut it out with my plasma cutter because I'm out of acetylene and I can't get any till Monday. So here we are grinding that plate down. First real test of this thing, and it took it right on down, no complaints. Also waiting on my horizontal bandsaw blade, which should be coming Monday as well. Please like and subscribe if you're into this sort of stuff. So here I am in deep thought. Maybe some holes here, maybe some holes there. Maybe I should have a tape measure in my hand. Maybe some holes over on this side too. Maybe I better stick the stuff up there and make sure it's even going to fit to begin with. I think so. I think I like it. Let's do it. Mag drilling annular cutters. Get you one. I'm just punching the mounting holes so we can mount the plate to the drum. So while I'm putting this plate on, I'll explain what I'm looking for in this review. 1, ease of use. How easy is it to change the belts and attachments? Number 2, how does it track? How long does it take to track the belt, and when you change it, does it stay? Number 3, power. Does it draw down or starve when loaded up or pushed very hard, or will it just power on through? And number 4, can I use all the attachments for what they are actually meant for, and how well do they work? Now I'm going to drill some accessory holes in this thing. This is kind of shady, but it worked. Now I got my bandsaw blade in. I can cut this pipe off a little bit straighter, and then go ahead and cut that upper plate off the size as well. Got some acetylene now, so I'm going to cut some gussets out. So we got to use it for a minute to clean these gussets and hangers that I made up before we weld it up. I still really haven't set anything up on here, and I still have that same belt that came with the machine on there. It's a 60 grit, and even this cheap belt's cleaned them up pretty good. So far I'm fairly impressed, or at least somewhat satisfied. This machine's right at $1,000. A comparable one in this class, anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000. So one of the first things you notice when you get this thing is it's heavy. All the parts are heavy. It feels like it's fairly well built. And so far, it's been pretty easy to use. The tracking's great. It stays where you put it, and it doesn't take long to get it there. It seems to have plenty of power. and it's variable speed. And we'll get to attachments and setup shortly. So my dad's a welder. My brother's a welder. I am not a welder, but this thing ain't coming apart. I'm using my Lincoln 180i MPDV weld pack with 032 flux core, I believe. And even I can make a decent weld with this thing. Gonna drill and tap a hole real quick, and that's where we'll mount the transformer under the upper deck. Just gonna screw a bolt in there, and then the transformer has a little teardrop cut out in it. Now, where to mount the frequency drive? It's not very heavy. I'm mounting it to the fan guard. I made this little aluminum bracket. I just cut a U-shape in the bottom, and then I'll put a bolt in the top. And then the other side of the frequency drive already has a little U-shape cut out in it for mounting, and I just mounted it to the other side of the fan guard. So my order from Maverick Abrasives came in. We'll get to the polishing stuff in another video. We're not going to go that far in this one. So what I got is ceramic stock removal belts from 36 grit to 400, and then the 4 surface conditioning belts, which are kind of like Scotch-Brite. So I'm going to square the table to the platen, put a 120 on there, and I got a little side project here real quick. I made some brackets for my torch cart yesterday. Gonna clean them up and get them ready for paint. Here we go. Getting pretty good, swapping them out, tracking them. 15-20 seconds. Made me a little hook for a bucket. Probably be a better idea to have a metal bucket, but that'll be all right for now. And so I'm just gonna graze over these real quick, just clean them up so I can put a little paint on them. There's a lot of different ways you can sand on this thing. I'm really enjoying having this so far. Maybe even more than I thought I would. At this point, you really can't tell the difference between this and a more expensive machine. We'll see what happens when we start using these attachments more. Now I'm going to try that surface conditioning belt. It took me about 20 seconds to take the other one off, put this one on, track it, and start using it. Should have just done this one to begin with, because after about 10 seconds, you're ready to paint with these. These are really nice. So I'll put some primer on there, and go get my mom, take her to lunch. Come back, spray them red. Let them dry for a little bit. Bolt them back up. I was going to put a crossbar on there, but I just drilled holes through the handle and bolted them on, and they were plenty sturdy. And it worked out pretty good. Grinder's doing great so far. Well, let's put some paint on the pedestal. I'm going to paint this up a little bit nicer than the brackets. I'm just going to scuff over it, wipe it down, and shoot it with oil-based Rust-Oleum primer and paint. I'll put a link in the description for the materials. It's the same primer and paint that I used on my Delta drill press restoration, and I'll put a link at the end of the video and in the description if you'd like to go and check that out. And yes, I'm spraying primer in a gravity feed gun, but it's not going to take long to spray this, and if you thin it just right, it'll be alright. And again, this is Rust-Oleum Clean Metal Primer, White Primer. And it's worked really well for me for everything I've used it for. Now we'll lay some paint down on it. This is Rust-Oleum Oil-Based Gloss Smoke Gray. This paint and primer is really good for shop equipment. I don't know about painting a car or something like that, but it seems to work out really good for kind of commercial industrial use. And it seems pretty durable and tough. And it looks really good too. I like it a lot. So now we're ready to stand it up, move it over a little bit, and install the grinder onto the stand. I used the 2 holes that are already in it for shipping, and then I drilled a couple in the front and the back. That'll be enough to hold this thing just fine. And that ought to do it. Now we can move it over and take a good look at it. See how it's coming along. It's really turning out nice, man. I'm really happy with this. It looks really cool. It works perfectly. It's very stout, and I think it's going to work well for me. Now let's get a knife blank cut out. You can do this a million different ways. I like to do it like this because I already have these magnets. I use them for some of my other projects like fin boxes, and I'll just put them on there all the way around. And then sometimes I'll use a paint pen like yellow or orange or pink. Here I'm just going to use a Sharpie because I have one right here. Some people use spray paint. Only reason I don't do that is because I use these magnets for other projects. And that's just a free template that I printed off online. I don't remember where I got it, but I printed it off, cut it out with a pair of scissors. And you can find hundreds of free printable ones online, or you can draw up your own, which I have a lot of those, and I'll be doing those in the future too. I believe this is a piece of 1084. My numbers have rubbed off, so I'm not absolutely sure. But in any case, it'll perform the testing we need it to. So I'm just going to cut it out on my bandsaw, and then we'll leave it pretty rough, and then we'll put it to the test of what we really bought this thing for. And you can cut these things out 100 different ways too. Some people use a plasma cutter, some people use a grinder. I like using my bandsaw. It doesn't get the metal hot at all, and it works real well. If you do use a bandsaw, you want to make sure the width of whatever you're cutting is at least 4 teeth wide, or it's going to wear your bandsaw blade out real fast. Now I've got some of my synthetic flood coolant in a spray bottle, is what I keep spraying on there, just in case it wants to try and heat up a little bit. Well, here we are. And I've left it pretty jagged all the way around with some different size radiuses so we can use all the attachments and see how everything works. I'll have to file the choil down with a file, but the rest will be done with a belt. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little more in-depth setup here. And this is where you kind of realize you're not working with a $4,000 machine, although it's all still pretty good. I'll probably make some slight modifications, and I did order a ceramic platen. Right here, I'm just wanting to move that belt over just a little bitty bit, like a millimeter, and I was able to put it right on that edge very easily. I've worked with some high-dollar machines that don't track as well as this one, so I'm real happy with that. Square up the table real quick. Gonna start off with a ceramic 36 grit belt and see what it'll do. And I quickly realized there ain't nothing wrong with this. It takes it right down, and if you got everything lined up and straight, it's gonna do a good job. I don't know why I was ever skeptical of it. I've just never had anything VEVOR, so I didn't know what to expect. Now, to be fair, I don't make knives every day, all day long for a living, but I'm gonna use it a lot, and I think it's gonna be just fine for me. So I'm going to switch from the platen to the contact wheel now. The radius of the contact wheel is exactly the same as the radius of the clip. So that's going to work out very well. Easy peasy. I'm keeping it cool too by dunking it in water and using the variable speed control. I'll probably set my cool mist up on here eventually. And it's looking pretty good. Now we're going to put the arc grinding attachments on it and do the handle. Pretty quick changeover. And this really worked out well too. I'm really happy so far with this. I didn't have to spend $4,000 or $5,000 and really got a decent setup. And as you can see here, it's working great. So I'm going to kind of deviate from the normal knife making process here. That's about as far as we're going to take this within this video. But I am going to go ahead and step up the grits a couple of times so we can get a look at that. I just put an 80 grit on there, and I'm just going to go through all the attachments in the reverse order. And now I'm getting pretty good at swapping everything around. It's just almost flawless, and it's really quick. I'll also continue building this knife in a subsequent video. Looking good. Now we'll go back to that flat platen real quick. Put the table back on. Doesn't take but a second. So far, we're about 15 to 20 minutes into this, and it looks great. I'm really happy with it. Is it worth $1,000? It is to me. I'd say it's a fair deal. So let's end the video with the surface conditioning belt. We'll throw it on there and see what it'll do. This is the medium surface conditioning belt, 80 to 120 grit. And just this belt alone leaves a really nice finish. And if you wanted to, you could still step up to the fine belt, and then after that, the ultra fine belt. Not bad. Not bad at all. I'm really happy with this. I'm going to get a lot of use out of it in the future. So, not that looks matter, but it really turned out beautiful. And I'm really happy with it. The stand and the grinder. And I'm really looking forward to getting busy with this thing on a lot of projects. And what kind of rating would I give this machine? I don't really know that I'd give it a rating, because just the price alone kind of makes that unfair, because that automatically shoots the rating way up. But I would certainly do it again, without any hesitation. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're into this sort of thing. See you next time.